Hello everybody, how's everybody doing today? I'm out here today in my truck and you guys can see my door is a complete mess, and I can tell you guys why. Yesterday I came home from my son's school from picking him up. I went to close the door, it wouldn't close, it just shut down. And I took everything apart, and what it turned out that it was the actual actuator from the door. This little part here that locks down wasn't locking or engaging anymore, so I had to go buy a replacement part, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. Now I went ahead and I already took the whole door apart, but I'm going to go through the whole process of putting it back together again. And if you're having the same issue that I did with my Ford F150 2014 model, you can just follow the steps back in reverse order to take your door apart and put it back together again. So in order for me to actually do all this stuff together, I had to take everything off, including this little actual window bracket, the guide bracket that comes down. We had to get that into place. So I had to take everything apart, had to remove the little protective little plastic that is on there to take it off of the truck. And what I ended up having to do was buy the whole new part of the actual actuator, and this is the way that it comes in. Now I went ahead and put the little locking rod back into its place, but it goes simply like this in the door. It's going to go just like this, locked into place. Once it goes into place, the little rod goes up here towards the top of the door, and it comes out. And this is the most difficult thing to actually put back in. Taking it out was a pain in the butt because I had to actually kind of finagle it and angle it in a different direction just to get it put into place. Now once I get that done, put it into place, here is another little hook, and this one is the one that operates the actual key lock whenever you lock it in there. And all this is, you put it in, lock it in, and it's locked in place. So whenever you lock the key out the outside, locks it, unlocks it. That's all that does. And then this little green little container here, there's another little lever inside there that actually operates the lever from the outside. So when you pull it, it goes down just like this, and it goes locked into place right there. If you guys can see that, it's got the little grooves in there for the little grooves that are in the rod that's in there. And we're going to go ahead and get that put into place. Now once I get it inside the door, I'll take the camera and stick it in there so you guys can get an actual idea exactly what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and get this back put in there and get it going to hopefully get this thing fixed to get it ready to go. Oh, I almost forgot. Here on the side here is a cable. This is the cable that actually goes to the inside of the door lock. And all this does is actually goes in here. It gets locked in here in place, just like that. And then it gets locked into place just like that. Now, mine, when I was getting ready to take it off, I noticed that the cable was frayed and it wasn't actually pulling back anymore. That's one of the reasons that the door wasn't opening the way that it needed to do. So I went and purchased a new cable, and I just went and got it from Ford and picked it up. So I'm going to do a replacement of this one completely, replace the whole entire thing to make sure that I have an actual working door when I put this thing back inside and get it ready to go, to make sure that everything works properly, because I want to make sure that my door opens. I don't want to get stuck inside or outside that it doesn't open. Luckily for me, it happened when I got home, so it didn't actually do, it didn't. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this put into place here. All right, it goes in just like that, and all you got to do is just make sure you put the little hook in there and it snaps into place just like that. And this other part's going to go into the actual little lever, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and get this put in. See if I can leave that there just like that and have not to worry about taking it off and then putting it back in once I get it inside. Like I said, to actually get this thing inside, you have to kind of like finagle it at an angle, because this part is the hardest part to actually put in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there as best I can. Get the little door cable out of there. All right, okay, whew. Not as hard as I thought it was gonna be. All right, so I have this into place already. Now, remember that little latch that I told you guys that we had to put into place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to move this one out of the way so that I can go ahead and push this up. Okay. All right, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna hold that there just like that. I'm gonna grab one of the hex screws that actually hold the actuator in place. And it's got 3 little nuts right here on the side. And all I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna put one in there to go ahead and just hold it in place, because I want to make sure that it stays in somewhat place, because I don't want it to fall off on me. And I'm not going to tighten that down to that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let me pull the camera off, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so right here you guys can see where I got the little green thing. This one is the one that actually goes up here, and you see this little plastic part up here. This is where it engages into. So I went ahead and took it off. So this one is the one that goes in place here to actually go ahead and engage the door lock. And I'm gonna get you guys out of here. We're gonna go ahead and put that back in its spot. All right. So I gotta get those put into place, and I'm gonna go ahead and lock those down and get them in, so we can get them actually going the way that it needs to go. So let me get in. Let me get all up in here. And the one thing that I do notice is that it is a pain in the butt to get this in here. But let's lock that into this place. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and lock that in. And sometimes this thing can be a pain in the butt to actually put it in. But once I get it in, when I took it out, there we go. It just clocked into place. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this little mechanism, put it back in, and then engage it into those little black hooks that I showed you a little while ago. All right, it's engaged in there. So now let me just check something here real quick. All right, that goes in. All right, that's engaged. That's engaged. That's in its place. Now, okay, so I got the cable. This cable is actually going to go locked in place right here, and it came with another little hook. So I don't think I'm going to use that little hook to get it into place. This is the power cable that actually goes connected into this. All right, before I connect this up, let me give it a shot and go ahead and get the other screws put into place. Now, all these screws that hold it into place in there are all the hex screws. And for the hex screws, the one that I'm using is actually a 25T, is the size that I'm going to put in there to hold them into place. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get the other ones on. I'm not going to tighten it up just yet, because I want to make sure that I do have it the way that I need it to be, and not have to worry about moving this thing one more time, because it might be a pain in the butt to get it in there, and I got to make sure that it's actually aligned the right way, because if not, I'm going to take it off again and realign it again anyway. But I want to make sure that everything works. Of course, I still need my hex screw, right? So let's go ahead and get that tightened up. All right, now the one thing that I want to do before I do that is I want to go ahead and I want to check my cable here to see if it disengages this. Okay, so that's good. Let me go ahead and connect our cable back up here again. Let me see, where's the connection at? Right back here. All right, so that's connected. Now, let me see. I have my car keys. That opens, that closes. All right, let me go ahead and get the cable or the door handle because I want to make sure that it opens up. So all I'm going to use is I'm going to use the door handle. Use the door handle to connect it up here to see if this actually works the right way that it needs to. And all that it is there. All right, so now you can see it's locked, the door handle. Now it opens it perfectly up. And it does the same thing on the outside. So I know that's working. Now to get this off, I got to take it off to redo it again. If you look in here, there's still little clips on here. What I do is get some needle nose pliers. Just put them in there, give it a squeeze. That'll pull it out. And I can take this cable back out because I'm going to put it back in once I actually get the door put back together again. I'm going to set this aside and I'll put that in once I get everything into place. All right, so we know that's good. So let's go ahead and lock this thing into place. Now I can actually lock it all the way down just to make sure that everything is set in its place where it needs to be. All right, so that's locked down. So again, just remember that you're going to use the hex nut size T25 for the sides of these ones. And I got them nice and locked down. I didn't over tighten them because I don't want them to be completely over tight. Okay, so we have that in place now. Now we're going to go ahead and get our cable here. And I'm not going to do the new one. I think I'm just going to go ahead and, well, actually it won't come off anyway. So I'm going to put that in place. Now this is just going to simply go through here. And it's going to lock in there just like that and get put in place. All right, so now we got it in. Let's go ahead and get this window guide put back in where it needs to go. All right, that's going to go in place just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my bolts. Line this back up to where it needs to go. Just like that. All right, I got one in place. And then we'll go ahead and get the other one. And this is the first time that I've had an issue with the door. The only other thing that I've done before is the passenger side front door. The handle, the actual handle from the inside, that broke. And I ended up having to go ahead and replace that one. That's the wrong bolt that I'm putting on there. I guess it would help that if I put the right one, huh? There we go. Oh, I'm losing. And the one that I need is this one. All right, so I have our bolts. Now that I have the right one, right? All right, let's get this nice and lined up. Get our other one nice and lined up. Now these ones on the door, these ones are, I'm using the 10mm one. And for this one, I do have the drill. Just to make sure that I get it nice and snug. So that's put into place. So that's ready to go. Okay, so I have everything that I need to have ready to go. And let me fast forward because I'm gonna go inside and get the truck keys to check the locks. Okay, now that I have the keys, let's go ahead and I'm gonna make sure that the locks are working. That goes down, and that goes right back up all the way up. So that works, that locks, and it's ready to go. Okay, before I close it, which I know that it worked, all that stuff and everything was ready to go, double check it one more time, just so we can make sure. Locked, unlocked, locked, unlock. Okay, so that's working. All right, so I have all that into place now, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on. Now it's got some sticky glue on there and stuff. I'm not sure which glue that is, so I'm just using some nice little duct tape to hold it in its spot there, and that's gonna be temporary because I'm gonna go ahead and there we go. I'm gonna get that replaced later on. I'm probably gonna go ahead and put some foam inside there to give the stereo a little deeper sound to make sure that it sounds better. And yes, I know that I'm using my teeth. My dentist saw me now, he'll probably get mad at me, but it's okay. He can get over it. All right. Okay. So now we have that into place. Now remember, this goes into the door handle. So the next step is going to be to actually get the door, and let's put it back in. All right, so my door, I had it over there nice in a safe location. Now here in the door, it's got some nice little holes in here. This is where the door is going to actually sit into place. It's going to sit in there. What I do is I just go ahead and sit it down. And now I got to take all the little cables that I took off the door one. So I got to put it back in where it goes. The door handle that I took off, all it simply does is just slides in just like this, and then it'll snap into place. Just like that. This cable goes behind it, just like I showed you earlier. And I'm going to use that one, the last one. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get all the wires and the electronic stuff that I had, and get it connected back up again to make sure that it's ready to go. And there's the rear view mirror. Make sure that one's ready. And then we're going to go over here to the other ones in place. And I want to make sure that I'm getting the right one, because these things can be a pain in the butt, especially because you really can't see. They're doing all this back here by feel, because I can't see the holes or anything like that. Alright. I think there we go. I think there's one. Okay, there's the big one. I move on to my next one. Which is right next to it. That one's in place. Now we have our little one. I think the little one's the most of the pain in the butt to do that one, because there we go, it locks into place. Now we'll go ahead and get our blue cable, hook it up to the door. Push the little blue tab all the way in. Now one of the other hardest parts is to actually get the little locking lever to actually fit into this little hole. Last time when I took this off and I was putting new speakers in the truck, it did the same thing. It was a pain in the butt. Okay, so I got it in place there. And before I do that, I gotta get this. All right. Okay, I got it where it needs to go. That's there, that's there. And the key is just to get it in there. Let me go ahead and take off the cap. Take the cap off, make it a little bit easier for me to see. Just because, like I said, it's a pain in the butt to get that in there. All right, so that side's in. And that side's in. All right, so that's it. We're gonna go ahead and get our little cap, put it back in. Let's check this out. Lock, unlock, lock, unlock. One more check before I actually lock it into place there. Lock, unlock. Okay, door's closed. And there we go. So that's done. That's said and done. Now, a couple, oh, and like a dummy. I just pulled it out. Okay, so now we have the door put into place. Everything's locked in. The door works good. We already checked everything. Time to go and start bolting the actual door cover back onto place. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my extension put on here. Now I'm using the 5/16 to go ahead and get everything put into place there. First, I'm gonna go ahead and put the one here on the side to make sure that's good. Next is gonna be the one down there on the bottom. Now for that one, I don't have the extension that I need for the drill bit, so we're going to do that one old school. We're going to do it manually. Go ahead and put that in there in place. Get the bolt where it needs to go. And we're going to go ahead and start screwing it into place. Alright, so that's where it needs to go. I'm going to go ahead and grab my next little adapter, which is going to be my 1/4 inch, and I got my 1/4 inch little bolts that I'm going to have to put inside, and these go towards the bottom. And I want to get them in there nice and hand tight, not too extreme tight, but I want to get them nice and tight so that way I'm sure that that's secure. And the last thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the covers back on that I took off. This little cover goes inside here, and it actually covers up our little bolt area here. And it just, that one snaps into place. This one, same thing. You want to go ahead and put it in. Put it in, secure it all the way down. That's in place. Make sure it locks, make sure it unlocks. And one more time before we go ahead and put everything away, we're going to go ahead and double check it. Locks in. Locks, unlocks. Locks, unlocks. All right, one more time, one more test for us to do. Locks, unlocks. I got to put a little hard for that one. Locks and unlocks. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's not too complicated to go ahead and exchange the actual door actuator for the Ford F150 2014. So if you're having the same issues, I hope this video helps, and it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to actually do the same process for your vehicle and understand that it's not always necessary to take it to an actual mechanic. Hey, we can do things ourselves too. This kind of job would have cost me about $400 for them to actually do it, and I was able to knock it out in about an hour to get everything done myself. All right, so thank you guys for joining me. Again, if you like our channel, make sure that you subscribe, give us a like. That way you guys know exactly when the new channel is going to be popping up. And hopefully here soon we're going to start getting ready and getting prepared to hit the RV and head out of here and go on another great adventure. But until then, thanks a lot for watching. Talk to everybody later.